right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Club Pro Chatter Season 6, Episode 6. We are into the month of September. Some of our friends would call it the busiest month of the year. Scotty McDonald is your co-host. I'm Greg Snow. Scott, good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Glorious, Greg, just like
Yeah.
I told you a little bit ago.
Yeah, you said that same word, glorious, but you're going with the scruffy look today. You're going deer hunting?
Thinking about it, yeah, I saw you were wearing orange, so I figured I'd go a little scruffy. We
Well, it's
could
an
go
odd.
hunting. Hey, little, what do they say? A little frost on the pumpkin this morning. 55 degrees when we got up. Felt a little cool, so I figured stay a little warm up here.
Well, good call. And this is in honor of Ricky Fowler for
Oh,
making the Ryder Cup team.
ooh, we should talk about the good old boys club.
Oh, I can't wait. I want to talk about that, which we will later. But Scott, usually we start with a song or we start with something silly or I got a different opener today for you. All right, I'm going to test you. You're very up in the golf knowledge, and I thought
Hmm.
this would be fun. Mrs. Snow, my wife Leanne, she went out to California to watch my daughter play volleyball, and she ended up at this place right here.
Yep.
Okay, bought me a
Hmm.
hat. Cheap,
Ooh.
cheap hat at the Pebble Beach Golf and Yacht Club. Scotty, can you, without looking, please don't look at your computer, look right ahead at me. Without
Yep.
looking, can you name the 6 golf courses in the Monterey Peninsula on the 17-mile drive?
Pebble, Spyglass, Spanish. Um, the Cypress count? Cypress
Yes,
Point.
yes.
Um, I should remember all these from the video games back in the day.
It's hard. I
Yeah,
I didn't realize how close they were together.
maybe we can ask Jeff Sorenson because I know he's played Pebble before.
All right,
He's
let's do
probably
that.
knows the rest of them.
Yeah, this is a fun little game. Let's bring on our first guest, section champion winner, Jeff Sorenson. Jeff, come on in. Okay,
Hi guys,
Jeff,
how we doing? Good to see you
we're
guys.
awesome. Good to see you again. We've had you on before because you win a lot of stuff, and we love that. But Jeff, Scotty needs your help. I don't know if you heard that first
I
part.
phone a friend. Phone a
He's
friend.
going to phone a friend. He's short a couple golf courses in the 17-mile drive. Jeff, can you name all 6?
Yeah, so Scotty got the first 4: Pebble, Spyglass, which is my favorite course in the world, Spanish Bay, Cypress Point, which I was lucky enough to play one time, super lucky, and then you got Monterey Peninsula Country Club, which there's 2 courses
Yes.
there, and I guess technically Poppy Hills.
Poppy Hills. That's right.
There we go.
It's in the middle. It's in the middle of that, not really on the ocean like the other one. So have you played them all, Jeff?
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to play them all, and actually Poppy Hills is a public course, and it's really good. It's Robert St. Jones Jr. and it's almost as good as the others. I'm going to say it's maybe just a step below, but I mean it's really good. Also, it's actually got bent greens. All the other courses have Poe.
Why is Spyglass your favorite golf course in the world?
So yeah, Spy's number 1, Pebble's number 2, and Spy's better because the course itself, like Pebble's awesome. Don't get me wrong, but Pebble's kind of wide off the tee. It's actually pretty wide open except for a couple holes, and Spy, you just got to golf your ball. I mean, and the beauty of it, like it's not as much on the ocean. The first 5 holes are, but then you're up in the forest and you look at these holes and it looks like you're at Augusta, these white bunkers, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. Just phenomenal. And it's hard.
Scotty, you played any of them?
I've not played any of them. Maybe someday, Greg, you and I will be. They'll let us out there. How was Cypress, Jeff?
Cypress is very neat. It's like my 3rd favorite that I've played is Royal County Down. Cypress is 3 different golf courses. You got 6 holes in the forest, 6 holes in the dunes, and then you got 6 holes basically on the ocean. And yeah, I mean the design of it is pretty amazing. I think it's like, in spots kind of easy. In spots, there's definitely some hard holes, but Yeah, I mean, it was a absolute pleasure to play there. I actually birdied the 255-yard par three, number 16. That was kind of fun.
That one snuck way out here on the cove, right? I don't know if you can see that, Jeff, but that's way
Yeah,
out here in the end, right?
it's way out there. It was like I was contemplating hitting a driver. It was so windy. I actually ended up hitting a 5 foot, but it was brutal.
Well, I would definitely say, Scotty, these are bucket list items. And of course, my wife, when she said she's going out there, I go, "Oh, you got to go do the drive." And she did.
Well,
And brought,
Scotty, you
Did
got to
she
get in
love it?
that. Scotty, you got to get in the TaylorMade deal, man.
I'm trying. I'm trying. Yeah.
You got your
what do you
you got
mean?
your
What does
you got your
trying mean?
qualifier coming.
Yeah, so they have TP Classics throughout the country every year for TaylorMade, and the national championship is at Pebble. So you play 36 holes for nationals, and it's always at Pebble Beach Resort. So that would be my one opportunity to get out there, Greg. So yeah, and that's always in March. And Jeff, obviously, when he was on staff with TaylorMade, you played in a couple of times, 2, 3.
I think I played in it 4 times
Okay.
with them, and then there's a standalone pro-am that I've played in the last 4 or 5 years in February, and I'm planning on going again this year. I got a team again run by pro-am events. It's a nice event. You play all 3 courses for that pro-am.
Okay. Okay.
Spanish Bay is part of the Pebble Beach property. If Spanish was just sitting by itself, you'd be like, "Oh my gosh, this place is amazing." But compared to Spy and Pebble, yeah, it's a step down, but it's still phenomenal.
It's crazy.
Who lives out there? Is it Eastwood and Nance? Are those the two big names?
Oh yeah. Nance has got a replica of the number 7 in his backyard. Everything's just a half scale artificial turf. Pretty
You
cool.
were out
Yeah,
there
yeah.
too, Jeff? Did you get to see that?
No, I didn't get to see that. But one thing I'll
Okay.
say when you go out there, bring your wallet.
Yeah, my wife bought me a hat, $45. She said, "I didn't think that was too bad." I go, "Okay."
45 bucks for a hat.
Yeah. Just
What a
money.
deal.
Just money, Jeff. It's all that
Yep.
matters, right? Doesn't
Make
matter. All
money.
right, let's get on to the reason we brought you on. Jeff, you obviously had another good run up there at the Wilderness of Fortune Bay. Talk us through a little bit about your mindset going up there. You have some good history, as mentioned, well documented that you won back there 13 years ago or 12 years ago. So as you're kind of going up there, we had a chance to talk on the range, but we didn't get a chance to talk about this stuff. What was your mindset going up? Did you have a game plan for how you wanted to attack certain holes, or did you know you were just playing well?
Yeah, it was 13 years ago, 2010. And that year I went up for a day trip to play it because I had never played it, like for a practice round. Because typically I'm in the North Dakota Open the weekend before, so I can't get over there for the Sunday practice round. So I decided things went well last time. I'd do that again, and I have kind of a weird memory as far as remembering golf holes. And there was a couple holes that I didn't quite remember because that was a while ago. It's pretty hard to believe, 13 years. But what I kind of figured out is that if I like the last time, if I not that I don't have a lot of belief in my driver, but my 3-wood is pretty accurate. And I figured out that like the widest parts of most of those fairways are in my 3-wood range, which is 280, 290, 270 sometimes, I mean, so that's like, I didn't mind if I left myself some longer clubs in a little bit because it is a long golf course. And so I just decided that my whole job was to hit basically, play conservative. I hit some holes where I hit hybrids too. Actually, number 2, which Scotty birdied the first day. What a birdie! What a skin! I actually the second day, because it kind of narrows up there, I hit 4-iron on that hole, just to give myself some comfort level with knowing I couldn't get into those woods that kind of creep in on the left or that bunker. So I would say that I played off the tee like slightly conservative. I only hit driver on 8 and 16. Those are the only 2 holes I'd hit driver on. But the thing is that I just like we got done with the second round. My brother's like, "I think you missed like 2 fairways in 2 days." So I mean that was a big advantage.
8 and 16 are the only even. Well, I suppose those 2 par fives are a little bit narrower. 15, yeah, I could see you being driver being too much there. Scotty, is that the same game plan you had?
No, but
Me
I
neither.
like no. I agree. Like you know, I consider Jeff one of in the longer players in our section. So yeah, even talking with like Benoit and when he played with Justin Kraft, who's young and wiry and bombs it, like it's not really designed for someone that hits their driver around 300 yards because the bunkers creep in, it pinches in those spots. And yeah, for example, 15, if you hit it 300 yards off the tee, you're in that hazard. There's literally no place to hit it. So it makes sense. And I think Paramount, like Jeff, look, two fairways missed. It's keeping it in play. I mean, he was never. If you're in the woods, the way we were playing him, general area, it's probably automatic double unless you make an incredible up and down somehow. So it's and then you just got to putt your ball. And it sounds like Jeff, you rolled it pretty well.
Yeah, the only putt that I missed that probably I was supposed to make was on 18 when I was like basically just trying to three putt and get out of there, and so I kind of that was the only putt. So I mean, I had some putts that definitely were 20 footers, 25 footers that were going in, but left them a little short. But I putted really well. I switched back to an old putter and a couple weeks ago, and it seemed to help me. But yeah, it was the greens were pretty good. I mean they had a little bit of pole creeping in there, but I've played on pole enough to know kind of how to putt them. I think that sometimes on pole, guys get into jamming the ball in, and it just doesn't work because if it starts hopping a little bit, if you hit it the right pace, kind of dead pace, it's got a chance to kind of get back online. So I think that there's kind of an art to it a little bit. I'm not, saying I have some secret, but I think guys that start trying to jam everything, they tend to lip out a lot of putts on when you have a little bit of pull going. So yeah, and just trying to work on the greens were good. They were maybe I thought they were a touch slower than they looked, but that was probably good because then it kept the pole and the bent kind of the same height. If they would have cut them really down, that pole would have been sticking up and it would have been pretty bumpy. But considering where they were a year ago, I thought that they putted really well.
Yeah, that's a really good point actually, because I felt that too. That there was a little bit of inconsistency. Maybe isn't the right word because it just is what it is with some of those. I mean, we referenced Pebble before. That's all Pebble is, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
it's super inconsistent, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing out there is that Poe is made for basically like 45 degrees to about 75 degrees. So the Poe out there is actually really good. I mean, it's just the perfect temperature for it because it never gets too cold, never gets too warm out there. And make sure when you do go out there, you bring long sleeves because it's it's never really warm, but it's perfect for Poe. Now it does later in the day, just like the Poe we were putting on gets a little bumpy, but I mean,
Right.
but yeah, it's the same thing. You can't get jammy with the putts because all of a sudden they just start kind of moving around. But if you have the right speed, they seem to kind of get back online. Is the way I feel about it.
So Jeff, you bogey two, birdie four, and then you're kind of in cruise control. What was the switch that was flipped when you got to that little par three, number 12, which was playing at I think 101 yards? What kind of got
Also,
you
first
going?
first round.
First
Uh,
round.
yeah, yeah, through the front nine. I was even par, and I was kind of like, all right, it's not it's not not bad but not great, and so we just I was really trying to just take one shot at a time, and then 10 and 11 are tough holes, so I was happy to make two pars there. And then 12, they had that. It was a cool, excuse me, it was a very cool setup with that front pin, but they got it up to whatever it was, 98 yards or something like that, which I made it fair. If you would have had that pin at even 130, it'd probably been a little unfair. But he had that tongue there, and I was just like, all right, let's just use the backstop, bring it back, and then I got it to go in, and then it just kind of got me loosened up a little bit, I guess, and then hit one super close on 13, and then capitalized, 15, 16, and then 18, to be honest with you, I hit a great drive, but I was not going at that pin. I was trying to go a little right of it, and I pulled it a little bit, and it ended up like 2 feet or whatever it was. So it was a nice little cap off for that first round.
So finish with 5 birdies in the last 7 holes, get in, and obviously you played in the afternoon, and you're tied for the lead. Do you? This is a. I mean, it's an easy question to answer, but how do you feel about it? Sleeping on the lead, like this is obviously a big event. You know you're going late. Would you rather be up, or would you rather be coming from behind?
Well, I mean, I always want to be as far ahead as I could be. I
Yes,
mean,
yeah.
for sure. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, earlier in my career, sure, I'd get like, pretty nervous. I remember one time out at the National Club Pro in Hershey when I finally made the PGA, I threw up in the morning. I literally did. I said, I was like, just a little like, I was super nervous, and then I realized like, all right, it's just another round of golf. So, and then like I didn't, going into it, we took our time in the morning, made some, it's kind of a weird time of day to play in a way where you can't really have lunch right before. So we made a nice breakfast, me and my brother, we rented a place and, took our time getting out and, got out there and it wasn't, we never set like a goal of what we're going to shoot or, what we're going to do. Our big thing was try to play one shot at a time. Sounds super cliche, but just no looking back, no looking forward. And just let's execute every shot the best you can. And if you do that, you're probably going to have some opportunities. And I was able to capitalize on most of them.
So you start day two and you just come right out of the gates with a birdie.
Yeah, it's
that
funny that
Go
right
ahead.
pin. I've never actually played that right front pin because when I was there in 10, the pin was back center, kind of like it was for us day one, and then it was front left, where I actually ended up winning the playoff on that hole, the second playoff hole. And so I'd never, and I think the practice round both practice rounds I played, I'd never played to a pin there. And so I was, I kind of kept my eye on it because I thought, yeah, there's a chance they're going to put it down there. And then I realized that you got some backstops. And so I actually, that hole I hit 3-wood, 6-iron, left myself a nice, 54-degree wedge and just kind of sucked it back down the slope there and had about a 4 or 5 footer and we read it pretty good and went right in the middle.
Yeah. So then you get to number 4, and that's when you hit the 4-iron. Was day 2?
No, number two.
Yeah.
I hit 4-iron. Yeah, so
Okay.
4-iron, just short in that fringe area and hit like a pretty good chip, but had like a 5.5 footer. Kind of checked up on me, and I was able to get that one in. That was a big because that's the hardest, probably the hardest hole in the course. I mean, it just
I agree.
really, yeah. And so making par there felt like kind of almost like a birdie. And then 3, with that pin back there. I mean, I told my brother, I'm like, let's try to like, maybe kind of slam it into the hill. If it hops up, great. We were having a little trouble figuring out the wind there, and I was like, I don't want to putt from the bottom, but I don't want to end up, left or right of the green and that back tier because there's not a lot of room to hit to. And I just flushed it and it got up on top, which was huge, and I almost made the putt. And it was a really, tough 2-putt from down below. Derek and Eric had a little bit of trouble with it. So that was big to make a par there.
Yeah, I think that whole location on 3, it could have been. I mean, if you miss the green long at all, it's like you're scrambling to make bogey because you're probably going to end up down in that lower shelf, and then you've got to putt it up Mount Everest to get up there. I thought that was a really good pin by Tone, and then move the tee up a little bit. Yeah, I thought the course setup was great. I mean, obviously conditions last year were not good, but I felt like the course conditions were pretty solid. A couple of greens, like you already mentioned, but everybody had to play it. So, what is it with this place that just suits your eye, Jeff? It's obviously you've got great vibes there. You've won it twice. Have you already pushed tone to go back in the next couple of years?
Well, isn't it going to be the new home of the Minnesota PGA Championship, like Ace Hades was back in the day?
Nope. Nope.
Donnie Berry seemed to like that place pretty good. I think he wanted it
Yeah.
last time.
It wa-
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I think that it requires good iron play, right? I mean, it obviously requires decent driving, but you got to be able to hit some longer irons and spots. And I don't know. I kind of feel like that's one of my strengths. I can kind of differentiate myself, I guess. But um, I don't know. Just it's kind of suits my eye. The thing about that course is there's basically zero dogleg lefts, and I'm not the biggest fan of dogleg lefts because I tend to fade the ball. And that was one thing that I noticed about that course. I was like, hey, I can hit my cut every hole, right? I get a little, 3 yard cut with my 3 wood, and it just sets up perfect. So, I mean, there's kind of a dogleg left on 11, but not really. You can still hit a fade on that hole. You don't have to move the ball left. Not that I can't do it, I just don't prefer doing it. So that's probably part of the reason that it sets up good for me.
Yeah, 7 would be the only other one that I could think of that possibly would be a little dogleg left. But even there, Jeff, you're hitting 3 wood. Just so you took the bunker out of play on 7 and just stayed
Six,
back. Is
six,
that what? Oh,
number
6,
six.
right, 6, yeah. Before the par 3. So did you just take
Yeah, I
that
hit
bunker
three
out of play
wood
with
down
3
the
wood?
right, 3 wood down the right side. I think I hit 8 iron in the first day, 7 iron the second day. So it wasn't. Yeah, I just take that bunker out of play because it gets pretty narrow down there. And yeah. I mean that's yeah. So you can kind of every hole you can turn it into a fade hole. I think for the most part.
So did you guys try to not talk about what your opponents were doing? Did you look at the scoreboard? Is Maddie in charge of that? Do we not be in charge of that? How does that go for you guys?
So I used to be like a huge scoreboard watcher. Um, like if it was available, I used to really like to do that. And then I kind of 2 years ago at Stone Ridge, I told Matt, I said, we're not looking at all. We're not looking at all, or I'm not looking at all. He ended up um, looking during that round, and then the last hole, I got in a divot hit a perfect drive on 18 there. Stone Ridge was in a divot, and it just came up a little short because the lie was pretty bad. And I asked him, I said, uh, what do I need to make here? And he goes, you just need to get it up and down. That's all you need to know. All right, that kind of thing. So he didn't want to tell me what was going on. You don't tell me if I have to get up and down to,
Tie or to
get the
win?
playoff or to win,
Right.
whatever. And it just made me kind of say, hey, I just got to take care of what I got to take care of. So then this year we said we're not looking at it all, and Matt didn't look at it at all either. And then coming off the 18th after I hit a good drive, I was like, all right, what kind of? I said I know I'm leading, but how much? And he told me 4 shots, and so I had 149 yards to the hole, and I tried to hit it 125 yards front right and 3 putt and get out of Dodge. So I think that it's kind of something to be said though, is like you have to just stay in your own spot, right? I mean, you can't worry about other people. I mean, I was kind of aware of, I actually thought that both Chili and Derek were a little lower than they were. I mean, they played good, don't get me wrong, but like I thought, oh man, I couldn't, because I'm trying not to like pay attention to the round too much, but I can notice when they make a birdie, I can notice when they make a bogey, and I just wasn't like, but I was just that kind of showed that I was in, kind of my own little spot, which was probably good in the end. Um, and I think that like the other thing was too is like last year playing in the 3M and playing in some other stuff that I last year I really the conditions on the tour are so difficult that you just have to be like fully engaged on every shot, and that's what these guys do. I mean, these guys are like, I mean, it's like every shot is for their life. I mean, they really focus, and that's something that I was trying to do out there when I played the 3M. But then I kind of try to and maybe I need to do it more in regular events, but like in the big events this year, like the Tape Mark and the State Open and this so far, I've been really like trying to be super engaged and just be like, all right, this is all that matters right now, and I think it's helping me. I think.
Do you use any systems like Decade or anything like that, or do you just know? Okay, that back left pin on 18. I'm not going to aim at that. I mean, certain pins, hitting it to the fat part of the green. Do you have a system? Because we've been trying to preach to Greg to not aim at every pin, even though he did aim at the pin on 18 and hit it in the water. Even though we've been working on this, but I mean, do you have a system that you use?
I mean, not a formal system, but like for me, like if I can hit a straight shot or a baby cut to a pin that's, how about this? If it's inside of 125, if the pin's way left, I'm going to stay away from it because it doesn't, necessarily fit my shape. But if it's partially left, I'll still go. I'll go, maybe a touch right of it. But like if it's a center pin or a right pin, that just suits my eye. But so even from when I get into a little longer distance, I mean, I would say that I'm a fairly conservative player. You know, as far as trying to go to the fat side on certain pin locations and certain distances. But I feel like when I play too conservative, though, I start thinking about like trying to avoid the miss, and then just I got to tell myself sometimes like, hey, if you miss the green here, you'll get it up and down, right? That's how I got to approach it. So yeah, I always kind of like I always think of it like there's probably nine to 10 to 11 go pins. Like I'm going at it, and there's probably 6, 7, 8, even in a major where all right, we gotta shy away from this one a little bit.
All right, Jeff. One, I need you to give a tip to all of us who are just not so good at these things. You said it's an iron golf course. I can agree with that. I thought for me it was more of a get off the tee golf course. And you kind of referenced that you took that out of play by going a lot of 3-woods, that you could go to a club that you trusted. So when you stood up on, say, a hole 18 where it's woods on both sides, really it's quite wide, but there's still woods on both sides. What do you, when you're standing behind the golf ball, what are you telling yourself? How are you looking at that golf shot? Can you break that down just step by step? Because there's a bunch of them for me. 1, 2, 10, 11, 18. These were all where I stood up and I go, which side is it? Where am I going to miss this sucker? So instead of saying, all right, I should aim at X, or I don't even know. So talk me through what a champion does when he looks at those holes.
Yeah, so like one of the big things that I try to teach my students is that I think that most people are so concerned about where the ball ends that they forget about where the ball starts, right? So I use a lot of like foam noodles, alignment sticks, and I'll put like uprights out in front of them, like 5 to 10 yards, maybe some really tall ones, and say, all right, we got to start this ball between the uprights, like a field goal kicker, right? You got to start it there. Then we're going to work the ball from there. Now, my typical amateur student, I'm going to have them hit a draw because that's what most people should hit. But more powerful players or guys that maybe had some hooking problems like I did back when I was younger, I'm going to probably hit a fade off of that. So like when I got on that tee there, I'm saying to myself, okay, what's my starting point and where is it going to end? Right. So my starting point there was like, there's that marsh down there, and it was whatever, even from the tee we were playing, which was slightly up, was, the hole was what, 430, 440 from our tee. It was 370 yards or 50. No, it wasn't, 345 to the water. So I just picked out, kind of the left edge of the fairway down there where there was some marsh that was sticking up. I picked that for my starting point, and I'm like, I'm going to work it, 5 to 7 yards to the right of that. And that gives me, 35, 40 yards to the right of that. So I think it's the starting point is just, it's like sometimes I'll get someone that shows up with a snap hook and they're like, boy, it really curves left. I go, well, how about the fact it starts left? Isn't that the problem to start, So it's like, you got to get it started on line,
That's good. Scotty, last question. Take us in.
No, I was just going to decipher that maybe you should pick a target off the tee first. That would probably help.
Well, I think it comes that everybody, and that's true, but it comes down to everybody is we're so afraid of where it's going to end up. We're
Yeah.
just not counting. And somebody asked me before I got up there, "How you feel?" I go, "Terrible. I have two drivers in my bag." I don't know if that tells you anything, but I got two drivers in my bag. Yeah, I didn't know which way or where it was heading or what was going to go. So it was going to catch up with me eventually, and it did on my seventh hole of the day. It was, oh boy, oh,
I
here
think
we go.
I think another thing that like I try to do is like literally picture the shot how it's going to land, like like a video game image of like, hey, there's the fairway from the side view, there's my ball landing in that spot, and then whatever, bouncing or whatever, but like seeing like when it on the green, like when I'm over the ball, like picking a spot in my head on the green, like, and visualizing what that looks like when the ball lands there. So because a lot of times like what you see is going to cue your body to do it. So I think the visualization of just where the ball's going to land is even just a good thing.
Yeah.
Jeff, I'm not gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask Scotty because I know he knows this. Scott, how many is this for Jeff now?
Oh, I don't.
Oh,
I don't. I
you
don't
usually
know.
know this
If
stuff.
I had to guess, it's probably around 13 or 14.
Oh,
Section
major?
championships?
No,
No.
section. No, no. I thought qualifying for nationals.
Hmm.
Oh, oh yeah. Well, let's go both. Okay, so 13 or 14 for nationals. How many wins?
So I think it's. Oh, sorry, Scotty.
No, I'd
Is
say
it
he's
5?
won it 5 times.
Yeah, that was my fifth section championship, 10th overall Minnesota major, 160th career victory. So that was kind of a cool number. And then I think it's my 15th national. I'd have to add it up. So yeah, I mean,
So,
lucky to do that.
so just let's just talk about that a little bit as you're talking about some of those career highlights, because I think something that people might not have seen, which I think is really awesome. I mean, it's been a hell of a year for you. Starts with, you know, more or less the last chance getting into nationals at the stroke play, which was very impressive. Never been done before by a Minnesota PGA Pro that I'm aware of, because they've only had it for a couple of years. So that was awesome. So getting in, and then, you know, just a great year winning this, but also, you know, you're in your 40s. It's kind of weird. You're getting inducted into the Hall of Fame and you're still got a lot of your years in front of you. Talk about that. I mean, how humbling is that? I mean, you're looking at your body of work and now you're going into the Hall of Fame this year. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I kind of, I didn't necessarily like think about it a lot, but I was kind of like, well, maybe someday, I probably have done enough, I guess, just as far as playing and hopefully, teaching. I'm a pretty busy guy, and taught a lot of lessons over the years. But then like I didn't know what the requirements were. I didn't know what the age minimum was. I didn't know what the win. So in I think it was either late May, early June, I got a call from Jim Mantis, and I'm thinking like, oh gosh, did I commit a rules fraction? you know, I'm like, what
You
did I
wouldn't
do?
have Jim call you.
Yeah, so I call him back right away. I was getting ready to go out to the teaching, and he's like, "No, I just wanted to call and tell you you got into the Hall of Fame. It's not going to be announced yet because we're trying to get a hold of a couple of the people, and it ended up getting delayed and delayed because I think one of the people that was elected were has passed, so they were contacting their family and just wanted to let them know before it was public. So yeah, so then it kind of made me think about it a little bit, and I was like, boy, this kind of means I'm old, I guess. But but then I was like, I'm only 44. There's a lot of golf left. I mean, the nice thing about golf is you get to play it for a long time. I mean, look at Don Berry. I mean, the guy's 62. He still plays great. And so there's this, they're fifth. You got senior golf and stuff. Like it's kind of like you got some more time. But yeah, I guess looking back at it, I've worked really hard at it, and and at times it's paid off, and it's pretty yeah, it feels good to be recognized, and I'm looking forward to the awards ceremony. I might have to have someone do the speech for me because I'm I'm not really good at public speaking as far as keeping my emotions in check, but we'll see about that. But yeah, there's been a lot of people that really helped me a lot over the years to kind of get where I'm at. And yeah, but I got a text from a buddy, pro am partner, and he's like, "Well, this is just a chapter. Now you got your next chapter, and that it doesn't mean that it's over, and you got a lot of golf left." So that's how I'm looking at
Jeff, I was just at a wedding this weekend. We don't want no canned, written, talk. I want it right from the heart. I want you bleeding all over up
Michael
there.
Jordan. Michael
it. Well,
Jordan.
I probably will be.
No, that's what we want. I don't care what people say. If they make fun of you, so what? I want it from right here. I told the father of the bride, I go, why didn't you speak from the heart? I go, all you did was read from your script. That means nothing. Come on, give it to us from the heart. So take that into consideration when you have your speech. Just make it from here, man. People will love it because you've earned this and you deserve it, buddy. We grew up together in the assistance chapter, and from where you've come from there to where you are now, I guarantee you nobody would have saw 160. Nobody, right? So
Right, right.
you've worked hard, you've earned this, and yeah, don't be afraid to let it bleed from the heart, man, because you're a great representation of professional golf for us.
Well, I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Yeah,
Scotty?
congrats. Yeah, congrats, Jeff. It's a great year. Obviously, I know you're always thinking about that Player of the Year, which, according to my tally, you've got a pretty good stronghold on. So finish strong. Other than that match play match against me in a week.
Oh,
That
right.
should be fun at the old Fox. Fox Hall, get a little practice round in for the golf champions next Thursday,
Nice.
right? 14th.
Yes, next week from tomorrow, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it should
Well,
be
let's
fun.
bring Tone in. Jeff, you're welcome to stay because let's talk a little bit about setup. Tone, are you there? And this group, I didn't even think about it, but on Saturday I texted this group, and I want to make it public. We got to get something on the books for that Sioux Falls Country Club. Wow, was that a golf course? Anyways, I'll just throw that out there. That's free airtime for them. But I texted this group and I said, we got to do something. This golf course is impeccable. Tone, good morning. How you doing?
Morning, guys. How are you?
We're awesome. I have first question. Lots of bowls, lots of little funnels. How does that kind of go into your mind when you're setting up a golf course? You're like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, but you never use like the bottom of number 5, that type of thing. You think, I didn't like that. So talk us through some of what you're thinking when you're walking through those holes.
Yeah, I mean, I just try to look at how both days are going to be played, and then kind of what I'm doing at the other holes, just so that it's not the same kind of thing you're doing each time. Um, I've been to the wilderness a couple times before, and I had some ideas, like the on number 12 is kind of something I wanted to do. Um, but just kind of looking at what areas of the green look the best to me, and then how you want each kind of nine to play, and kind of thinking about where the leaders are going to finish. How do you want that to play out? One of my things was trying to have a couple gettable holes going into the back nine that you could be making birdies and hopefully making it exciting.
Tone, I thought the setup was great. Yeah, obviously there was good variety. I don't think there was any Stone Ridge-esque holes. We don't need to go down that road again. Jeff knows all too well, although he did win that year. So, but no, I thought the setup was great, and I liked the variety on the par threes, front pins, back pins, varying distances. I thought the whole location on 12 was great. Move the tee up, and if you want to hit a good wedge shot to that small area, then hit it in there. There was a lot of birdies, but I think there were also some big numbers on that hole as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that was.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I thought the setup was good. I mean, me and my brother were talking about it. You know, all the pin locations were fair. I thought the tee placements were good. You know, we made there's a couple holes out there that the we decided to like two. Like, there's no reason to play that back tee. It's still long enough from one up. It's still 450 or something like that. So yeah, I thought that was good. And yeah, good variety. You had right pins, you had left pins. It was good. It was very good.
Tones will just take that. Okay, yes. So Tone, there's a lot of slopes too, like hole number 4. I found that really fun. I missed the green left over there, and I had my two partners. I got to play with Matt Sandquist the first day, who ended up making it. Never really knew this kid. I didn't even know Edina had ever had any people that played any tournaments. And so Matty, good player, good kid. So I said to him, and I said to those guys, I said, "Hey, I need you guys to move over a little bit." And they kind of look back at me, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to chip it up here way up high and bring it down in." I thought, do you go out and roll balls and think of those kind of things, of how people can use these slopes? And we don't always play courses that have those kind of slopes, but in this scenario, did you do some of that?
Yeah, I went out on Saturday and hit some shots, and just kind of, I think it helps, like when I, teach the interns of kind of my processes, kind of seeing the hole and what locations you'd want, like as if you're playing. And then so seeing the green from 50 yards away or whatever, would kind of give you a different vantage point. And then obviously kind of walking around the green and seeing some different things. I know 4, I was originally thinking about going back one of the days, but just kind of the green in some of the areas didn't look the best. So I was just trying to avoid, any sort of complaint about a missed putt or anything like that. So that one wasn't originally what I was having planned of where the 2 hole locations ended up, but I thought we had 2 good days, where the locations ended up being.
All right,
Jeff,
Jeff.
thank you.
Jeff, we'll let you go. Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate it. See you
I-
soon.
You
See
Have
know,
a good
Jeff.
day. Yep.
Congrats
Bye-bye.
again. So, Tone, I thought one of your best pins, and I don't know how much consternation you had over it, was the par 5, number 15 on day 2. I found that so fun. It was over in that right side, kind of in between the 2 mounds, but you could use either side of it. We had some people. One of our guys Holmes was in the bunker. I was way back in the bunker, and we both tried some different angles to feed it into that pin, but it ended up being a very fair spot and super fun. And of course, Shinzy was like, "You guys with all your trickery off the slopes," and it's like, I just think it's kind of fun to try those things. And of course, I was shooting a million, so it didn't really matter. But I I don't know. I thought that was your coolest pin. Scotty, did you have a favorite?
No, I was going to say 15 was great. Thomas Campbell and I both pin high left, not in the bunker. And he went first and tried to use that sideboard and got it wiggled down there. And I got a little bit better angle and almost made it using that sideboard. I hit it to like 6 inches. So it's just a really fun golf courses with the green complexes, but also can be very penal if you're in the wrong spot. Like if that front pin on 12, day 1, if you were above that shelf, you got a tough 2-putt down the hill. But if you hit a good shot in there, you're going to have less than 10 feet. So good setup overall. Tone, remind me again, where are we next year? Sioux Falls Country Club?
I hope.
we are at a to be determined course. We're
Sioux Falls Country
so
Club.
I'll say this: I'm playing the Country Club of Sioux Falls this upcoming weekend. So I've played it before, so I'm excited to go out there and we'll see what we can do.
So we don't have a venue, or is it yet to be announced?
We don't have a venue.
Ooh, Greg, put the
Well,
push on.
we know Eagle Creek's always available too. So again, that's always an option, but that's down the road. But again, Tone, is it are we supposed to be in the cities though next year? Kind of the rotation?
Yeah, we're supposed to be in the metro, so I'll try. Obviously trying to keep it at a course that we haven't been to lately, but sometimes that gets hard. So we'll look at maybe making it another travel event or just kind of seeing what's the best venue available at the time for next year.
I guess one question for you, Tone, is how difficult is it getting to schedule this event based on the national club car that contract? Like a lot of our members, I don't think understand that obviously it's got to be at a club car facility because that is a big national deal. So how much more difficult? I think all the Brainerd courses now are off of club cars, so they're off the rotation.
Yeah, it's definitely adds a level of difficulty. There's so many other courses you'd like to go to and have it at. Then there's kind of the select clubs that you would want to have, this tournament venue, at. So it kind of limits your scope there. But, my book is all kind of just trying to have those conversations early and create those relationships of hopefully that the host pro who ends up doing it is wanting it to be there. So I got some lined up of other conversations I've been having, so I'm confident we'll get something and hopefully be a good one.
Well, and I'll just put it out here right now because I think we have a lot of people that listen. And I think there's a lot of people that I think we have a lot of our pros, Scotty. We know during that little chip off out there when you flew at 128 yards over the pin, everybody's like, "Will this be on the podcast?" People are like, "We need help. Contact Tone." I mean, if you have a course that can host something like this, contact and help. I mean, again, some of us, and I love where I'm at. I love my golf course, but I also know that it's only 6,300 yards. And there's just not much more we can do out there. So is it a great test? For a section championship? Maybe not. Maybe it's not the best test. But again, there's other courses that are. And so we plead this with junior golf too. And as you guys saw me up at the section championship, I'm not afraid to call out our fellow professionals. We got to do things right here. We got to enter in our scores. We've got to offer up our golf courses when we can. We got to help junior golf. And Tone, we need to make your job easier. I think we're doing better with pace of play for you, are we not?
Yeah, I'd say, pace has been good, and I also say, for the majority of the part, the live scoring has been a lot better than it has been. So, the message is getting spread out and getting heard.
Well,
Scotty,
I think
I was
no,
going to
I
ask you,
think
how do you feel the pace has been this year for most of the events?
I think the pace has been good. It's just tricky. Some of the pro-ams it's out of
That's a
out of our
different deal.
control. Yeah,
Different deal.
Our member only events or our majors pace has been good. Obviously, there's some limitations what you can do at the tape mark with AMs and reachable par fives and things like that. But I think the biggest thing, and you and I have been big on this, especially with Borgen, and I can call Borgen out because I lost to him in a playoff for fourth alternate. And I lost $20 to him as well. But I think the thing is that these pros need to understand if you have an Apple phone, which 75% of the world does, there is a button called Do Not Disturb. So when you're doing live scoring, you will not get messages, you will not get phone calls, you will not get emails. That is not an excuse anymore. And secondly, do you want to play for money? Do you want to have sponsors? Well, then we have live scoring where people go to and we show the traffic to our partners and say, there were 1,000 people on this actual page during the section championship hitting refresh, because our pros added to the drama of the event. Exactly. I'm on a soapbox right now, but that, and not to mention, it levels the playing field for everybody else. Jeff Sorenson should know coming down the stretch on 18 whether he can play conservatively or he can play aggressively. So kudos to Tone and their crew, because I think anyone that no, you had it right the first time. Anyone that wasn't, yes. putting in their scores. Tone and the staff asked what the scores were and actually put them in for them. So thank you for doing that. I think it's something that adds to the elements of our events and can be a carrot that we dangle to partners down the road. There you go. I'm off my soapbox.
I just want to let that marinate for a few minutes, if you guys wouldn't mind. I'm just pumped right here. And Scotty, I've told him sorry, but I've said this. This is our organization. We're the ones who have to call out our fellow pros and have to let them know these are the things that will help us down the road. Yes, we're also, we do other things with the section with governance, but bottom line is this is a peer-to-peer conversation that we have to be better in all these facets. And we should be a leader in the country on this, of all the sections. When people look at Minnesota and go, man, they figured out their scoring. They figured out their pace of play. They all bought into it. That's what we want. So it shouldn't be on Tone or any of the staff that have to be the bad guys. I hate that. Darren DeYoung used to tell me this all the time, Tone, of, man, it's really hard to penalize somebody when you work for them. And we find that at clubs, it's sometimes it's hard to chastise your membership for some things. So it's just difficult. But anyways, yeah, go ahead, Scotty. The producers on us here a little bit.
I know when we jump into Ryder Cup, but I just want to tell Tone, don't worry about that second round up there. Greg struggled the last time he's at Wilderness, and look at how much he improved. So there's room for improvement. I'm glad that you played in the event, and don't let that discourage you from playing in future years. I'm so happy that you play in this event.
Yeah, no, it's not letting that discourage me at all. It was other things going on, but it was fun to get out there. I had a great caddy, Carla caddied for me, and it was a fun 2 days, and we're moving forward and moving on. So nothing that's going to stop me.
Good.
Ryder Cup, Greg. Ryder Cup.
Where do you want to start, Scott? You want to start with the snubs, or you want to start with what you with the good old boys, as you would call it?
Well, wouldn't you say that that's kind of the same?
Actually, Derek Holmes, who I played with day 2 when we were announced and told it, Derek Holmes brought up a very good point. And you know what? I had to sit there and make another double bogey and think about it. And I said, you know what? I said, he's right. And here's what he said. He goes, this is what Europe has done lately. They could care less about the points list. They could care less about where you stand or how you've been playing. They want the best Ryder Cuppers. And I have to say, I think JT is one of the best Ryder Cuppers. And I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with it. Do I think it's fair? Well, no, life isn't fair. It isn't fair that I have to fire him into the woods left and right. Hit one off the maintenance shed on 18. That ain't fair, right? But again, we got to get better. I don't know. What do you two think of those? I want to hear your opinions because I'm not necessarily right here. That's just what I'm feeling.
Yeah, I thought the picks were good. I mean, obviously JT kind of was probably the most controversy that I've heard just with his playing, but I do think he kind of brings that energy to the team and that camaraderie that the guys are going to want in the locker room and kind of to get pumped up. And I think that was probably the biggest decision, but I think it's a pretty strong team and it should be a good event.
Yeah, I think my one counter argument is we switch this, that only 6 automatically qualify. And now the captains have way more power to pick 6 as they will. And it's very difficult for a guy like Keegan Bradley or, anybody trying to make that team to make it every 2 years. It's really, really difficult. And Keegan's had a good stretch, and now he's sitting at home. And what more did you want him to do? I guess you could say play better, but JT played like a dog coming in, and now he's on the team. Past merit can get you on there. I find it very interesting how Luke Donald picks a guy literally who just won this last week, Ludwig, Aberg, who's been playing great, literally was playing at Texas A&M last fall or Texas Tech. And now he's on the Ryder Cup team. He's like 21, 22. So he's definitely going with the hot hand. So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. I just got a feeling when we're over there, when's the last time we won it on European soil?
93.
Is this
30
the
years.
year? Is
30
this
years.
the
I was
year?
18 years old. I was 18. I was in high school. You were
Is
dead.
this the year? I was not dead.
No, you weren't. You were close to dead.
I was in
Tone was
sixth grade.
dead. Tone was dead 30 years ago.
I don't know if that is but not dead, maybe not awake. He wasn't born.
Listen, I don't have the province of the Lord. I don't know what was going on. We don't know if Tone was going to come along or not. I mean, it was his parents' free will that they. But again, my point being is that it was a long time ago. Why are you getting all red? What's going on?
I just think that we didn't need your biology lesson. But I look at
Don't know
this
much
European
of history.
Hey, I look at this European team, and I think the last time we were on European soil, we had Don Barry on this podcast, Greg, and we were at the Royal Club, and we asked Don Barry, what is going to happen? And I was preaching, Europe's going to trounce us. And Don's like, you think Europe's going to win, don't you? And I'm like, yes. And you know what? We're going to get trounced again. This team is stacked. Victor Hovland hasn't been beat by anyone. Rory McIlroy gets jacked up. Tommy Fleetwood, Matt Fitzpatrick's playing great. Hatton would eat your heart out and spit it back in your face. They've got an unbelievable squad, and this just means so much more to them. I think we're going to get trounced.
Tone, do you agree?
Yeah, no. I mean, I think it's going to be close. I don't know. I don't know if I could say a winner, but I could see Europe pulling it off. But I don't think it's going to be a complete domination.
Huh. Greg, what are you thinking?
I don't know. I guess I got to pick the Americans to win by a point.
Okay, let's get our predictions on here. Let's get Kaylee in here. She's been hiding the whole time. She's got to make a pick on this. We're going to pick winning team and margin of victory. This will be the 5th major. So you guys got a chance to catch up to me. You can't top me because I got 2. Tone skipped a couple of picks because he was so afraid.
Scott, what do you got? What did you say again?
I've got Europe winning by 2.5 points.
Okay. That's not a trouncing.
Yeah, it is too.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
What did we win by in the last one? 10?
No.
It was a trouncing at Whistling Straits.
I'll pull it up right now.
Tone, what do you got?
Say Europe by 1.
Kaylee?
I'll take the U.S. by 1.5.
Thank you. U.S. by 1.5. Scotty, what do you got? It's an easy Google. It's an easy Google search.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm pulling it up. On the European site, they only show the past venues in Europe where they've won every single one.
Of course, because they got absolutely annihilated. But there's no DJ.
19-9. You were right. It was 10 points.
That's a drubbing. In case you didn't know what a drubbing is.
7.5 the last time it was in Le Golf National, France.
We got smoked, right?
Yes.
That was one of our worst performances ever. So, all right. Well, that's all we got for today. Season 6.
What's
do
your
we have
pick?
something else?
What's your pick? Quick.
I picked USA to win by 1 point.
Okay, there we go.
I'm picking the Americans. I
okay.
like
Bonus. Who's your MVP of the Ryder Cup? Either team.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Last year was clear DJ, right?
Yeah, it was.
I'm gonna go.
He went 5-0.
It's got to be somebody on the U.S. So I'm gonna pick Jordan because there's only a few of them that'll play all 5 matches. Jordan's one of them.
Yep.
Okay, Tone, who you picking? It's probably got to be a European.
Oh, he's someone I've picked before in these things, Mr. Victor Hovland.
Hovland, I thought you were gonna say that. Yep. All right, Kaylee, who do you got? It's got to be an American, probably for you.
Yeah, I want Ricky to do something special.
But he ain't gonna play 5. He might only play 3, Kaylee. But okay,
You could go 3-0.
I'll put Ricky down. I don't want to. I've tried to talk you out of things before, and then the guy went and played great. Who was that amateur that turned pro? Yeah, so I don't want to do that. Okay, Scotty, who do you got? You got Rambo?
Well, I liked Tone's pick of Victor Hovland, but I'm going to pick somebody else who I think is going to be like the new face of the Ryder Cup because Ian Poulter is gone for Europe.
So is Sergio.
No, yeah, and Sergio is too. I'm going with, since I'm kind of growing this hair out a little bit, I'm going to go with Tommy Fleetwood.
He could go 5-0. He'll play 5 matches probably. I could see that. And we know Victor's playing 5.
For sure.
There's no chance he's not playing 5. So Rom's playing 5. Who else is going to play 5 out there? Is that about it? Rory, Fleetwood, Hovland, and Rom will play all 5, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Who for the U.S. will play all 5? Jordan? Do you think JT?
Gotti.
Scheffler for sure. Probably
Brooks.
Kepka.
I know who won't. I know number 2 and number 3 won't, which is Harman and Wyndham. They won't.
Yep. Burnsy won't.
Burnsy,
unless him and Scheffler get a hot pairing together.
It could be Jordan, JT, and Scotty. Tone, anybody else you think will play all 5 for the U.S.?
Xander?
I would have to look at the team. I don't remember.
I don't know if Xander will. I don't think Cantlay will because nobody can hang with him for that long. Nobody wants to be his partner.
The human rain delay?
Oh my goodness. Right, anyways. All right. We have gone over time. I want to thank you guys for all the work that you do. Scotty, great show today. Hope you find a razor. And the rest of us, we'll talk to you again soon. Busy September for the tournaments. We didn't even get a chance to go there. And Tone, good job securing the Minnesota Golf Champions out at the Fox Hollow. I think you guys will have some fun out there. I did not qualify, shot 79.85. And so, therefore, I will just wait till next year and try to qualify before I become a senior. Scotty, any final comments?
Nope. Everybody happy to be back in school. The kids are back in full mode. And boy, is it getting dark early. Get your golf in while we can.
That's right. All right. For Scotty McDonald, I'm Greg Snow. Hope you all have a great day. Talk to you soon.